Hi. I had a lot of people contact me yesterday after my the post I put up with the photos of me riding my time trial bike, asking me how I actually did that, because a lot of amputees are having problems with it. So I'm going to talk you through the steps we went through to get me to there. So this is my mountain bike, and it really didn't used to do too much. It's a cheap mountain bike and I didn't really hardly ever use it. I only rode on the time trial bike, but I was too afraid to get on it when I started cycling again with the amputation and all that. So first of all, I'm going to show you the leg. We went through several types of legs before we settled on the type that we have. Now, my walking leg is a sleeve and suction, and I'm just going to show you that now. Hold on a second. So we have the sleeve, and then there is a valve in the bottom which creates the suction for that leg, and that's my walking leg. But what I found when we were using that sort of system for cycling, the constant bending was making the sleeve on the outside slide down, and therefore it was pulling the liner off. And every sort of 5 kilometers, I was having to get off, put the leg back on, and then carry on. So we decided to try pin lock. So what I've got for this leg is, this is the bike leg, so this is a pin lock. So it's exactly the same type of liner. My liners are all porous liners, Uniprox soft skin, and they've got little holes on the inside and the sweat comes through so it doesn't all fill up inside. But this one is the same type of liner, but it's a pin lock. So we're attaching this with a pin system, which is sort of fabricated here on the side because these two really don't go together. He sort of made it to fit. We also have a totally different type of bike socket, and it comes down an awful lot lower at the back. What I'm also going to have to get him to do is roll this back out a little bit more because of the vascular problems I have below the knee. I can't really use my knee and my leg below the knee, so I'm pushing down on the back of the socket here to pedal. But anyway, that's just unique to me. So this is just a normal laminated socket, but it's shaped a lot lower, and the next time we make one, we're going to lower the sides as well because we don't really need these for walking. Also, lots of clearance at the front so that your knee doesn't rub when you're constantly bending. So it's lower here, probably lower there, and a lot lower here, okay? What we did at the other end, we had a lot of different types of things going on. We started off with a foot, and I found that the foot, when there's a foot, it was making your knee bend more, and because I ride a time trial bike, it was making the left knee come up higher and hit my elbow. So we got rid of the foot, and that means that my knee doesn't have to bend as far. Well, I don't need it to be offset. I don't need a foot. What I need is for the knee to be about the same level as the other one. It's just basic physics. If you wanted to know, go and have a look it up. So we got rid of the foot and put on just a clip, and he's actually made this himself. He worked out a way to put on the clips on the bottom. Now I do have 2 sets of clips, one for the mountain bike, which is just a normal SPD pedal, and one for the road bike, which is a look pedal cleat. And I just changed them over by undoing the Allen key with an Allen key. Here, I just take 2 of these screws off, like this, and that just comes straight out, and I change them over, and it's as simple as that. And then you just screw it back on and line it back up. So I'll sort that out in a minute. So the first step was shortening the crank. If I had still had the walking leg, my knee couldn't bend as far, so therefore I couldn't get the top of the pedal rotation over. So if you can't get a bike specific leg with a lower socket at the back, this is for you. So we used a pendulum crank, but we just used we got rid of the pendulum and just used this part. So look up pendulum crank, and there's actually usually a pendulum on the end, and it's for people that don't have use of that leg at all. We modified it. So what we did then was we put that on the pedal, on the crank a little bit further up, and the pedal attaches to this. So that shortened the crank and meant my left leg didn't have to rotate as far, so my knee didn't come up as high and hit me. That's when I was using a foot and an ordinary walking leg. Then we got a bike leg, so I cast that aside, and my mountain bike uses SPD pedals, which are like that. And my prosthetic just clips straight into them. And to get started, because I found it so hard starting and stopping and working out which way to go, we also made another modification, and I've got a dropper post. So I'll show you how that works. There is a little lever on the handlebars so that when you sit on it, it goes down, and you put the lever up and it pops back up. So you can push it down, get on, and then when you're riding, stand up, push the lever, and it pops back up. They are quite standard fittings on mountain bikes, and I found that really helpful to start with to get me used to pedaling without a foot. So the whole idea of having one of my legs attached and having to push off with the other one and having to swap it all around because it's my left leg and I would usually have got off the other side of the bike, my head was like, ooh! So I found it really easy to do it that way. When I was able to start and stop without having to use the dropper post, I then transferred onto the time trial bike. Now this part took me a while, and it took me a while to work out which way round. I tried it by attaching my actual leg that I've still got to the pedal so that it could push me off, but I didn't have enough purchase on the ground with my left leg because all of the stability has been removed at the top of this socket, and I found I couldn't stand steadily on it. So then I swapped it around, and I had to work my quad muscle a bit because it was so atrophied I couldn't even step up a step with that leg. Once I could do that, then I clip my left foot in and I set off and I push off with my right. The problem with a mountain bike pedal is it has no float. That means as soon as you twist your foot, even as slightly, it comes straight out. So what I found was trying to get started when I was standing over this side and trying to keep my left foot clipped in, it would just twist out. So that's when I had to swap to the time trial bike. This is my time trial bike. Now, it is not modified in any way, and on these sorts of bikes, you cannot get dropper posts. So when I got to this point, I needed to know that I could get off the bike and stop and put my foot down without needing the dropper post. Once I got to there, I then swapped to this. Getting started, if you want to have your leg clipped in before you start, is actually easier on a road bike because there's a degree of float in these cleats which allows you to twist a little bit without your foot coming unattached. So what I did yesterday, day before, when I rode this bike, was I started off with my prosthetic clipped into the pedal, standing on my right leg. Make sure the bike is in a sensible low gear because I didn't. And then I push off with my left, with my prosthetic, and I do 2 or 3 half pedals until I've gotten momentum enough that I'm not going to fall over or come to a grinding halt, and then I clip my right foot in and then off I go. When I come to a stop, I do the same thing in reverse. So I unclip my right foot and leave my prosthetic attached, brake and step down off the bike with my actual leg. I have tried it the other way around, like I say, because there's not very much support in the top of a bike leg. It didn't work. If you were just using an ordinary walking leg, it probably would work. So making sure that you can step up and step down off a step, stepping up onto a step, leading with your amputated side, stepping down off a step, leaving your amputated side on the step. That's where you need to start before you even think about whether you can try this. And once you can sort of do that, doesn't need to be like, you know, completely fabulous, but as long as you can step up and down in that way without falling off the step, then I would say give it a go. You definitely need a clip pedal because there's no way of knowing where your leg is otherwise. I tried it. I would also suggest you tighten the springs on the pedal because my mountain bike pedals springs were a bit loose, and sometimes my prosthetic would come unclipped out of the pedal, and I hadn't even realized until my leg goes flying over there. Well, my leg didn't fly off, but my actual and it's these things you don't realize the second it happens because you've got no sensory feedback from there. So that's my tips for how to ride a bike if you're an amputee. The other thing you need to be aware of is when you stop, you need to lean an awful lot further over on your non-amputated side for balance, because I made that mistake too and didn't lean far enough over onto the side I've still got a leg and went slowly down onto the ground and involuntary lie in the grass. So that's just another little tip for you. Remember, you need to lean further over for the same centre of balance. So hopefully that helped. I will put in the comments all those little bits and pieces that I have mentioned through here in case you want to go and look some of them up. Feel free to ask me questions and I'll see if I can help. If there's anything I can't help with, I'll try and send you in the direction of some help. If you are just a recreational cyclist, I would suggest you try SPD pedals on a mountain bike. You can buy really cheap shoes for a mountain bike. Mine were $80, $90. And they just look like normal lace-up shoes. I don't have it here, sorry. They just look like normal lace-up shoes, and the cleat is inside the sole, so you can still walk around on them like normal. So that's what I would suggest if you are just a recreational cyclist and wanting to try it when you're an amputee.